Hey Scrabble fans, Will Anderson here. Everybody knows when you get sick, you call a doctor. But when things go wrong in a game of Scrabble, there's nobody to call. Until now, because Doctor Scrabble is here. I'm here to help you with maladies such as vowelitis, consonant overload, stuffed up boards, fuzzy board vision, and anything else Scrabble related on your mind. Unfortunately, I have to disclose that I am not a real doctor, but I am a former Scrabble champion, and I have a cool lab coat and a stethoscope, so close enough. Our first question comes from Joshua Hunt, who writes that he played a very, very nice bingo here, it must be said, of clacker, hooking the R onto lever. He says he didn't realize he could play clacker with the L hook making level instead of the R, just submitting the word straight after seeing it. But he asks, is it sometimes better to play a lower scoring word in order to open up less of the board? Or is this usually only necessary later in the game if you have the lead? What would you do? That's a great question from Joshua here. Okay, so the quick answer to Joshua's question, yes, it absolutely makes sense in many situations to take a smaller score here in order to create a more favorable board position for yourself. So let's quickly go through and refresh our memory. So Joshua played clacker for 83, making the lever hook. He's saying that he immediately after making that play saw that he could play with the level hook instead for 12 more points, 95 points. I should also note that he had levy for 94 points. So why would it make sense at times to play for 83 when you can get in the 90s on this move? Well, the answer is in how well it performs against certain types of racks that your opponent can have. So let's imagine that Joshua's opponent had bonkers, right? So this rack looks great. It's a 7-letter bingo, but on the board after clacker in the higher positioning here with the C up high, there's nowhere for bonkers to fit on this board. The best play is something like bloke for only 20 points, 28 points through the L on the board. But now let's look what happens if Joshua were to have taken the extra 15 points and played clacker lower down. It creates a much more easy S hook for his opponent to hit. Now bonkers plays easily on this lower row, hooking the S onto clackers, whereas it would not have fit with the uppermost positioning in this spot. So in this situation, Joshua would have given up, or rather he would have gone for 12 extra points, and his opponent would have had 60 extra points in response. So you can see there are situations where sacrificing 12 points works out significantly better for Joshua in the early going in this game. However, I have to say, those situations are not frequent enough for Joshua to sacrifice that many points here. So having your opponent having an ERS bingo, that'll happen a decent amount of the time, but it's not that frequent compared to, look at this positioning of clacker. All Joshua's opponent needs to have is one I, right? The I. It's going to score a ton in parallel plays alongside clacker, whereas if you were to play it down low for extra points, placing an I here would only score 11 points. So anytime your opponent has an I, which is significantly more frequent than your opponent having an ERS bingo, you're giving your opponent 10 extra points for playing alongside with chi and scoring on a double word score. So right off the bat, you're giving your opponents more points after this uppermost positioning for a much larger subset of plays that they can have. And another factor, when your opponent has an ERS bingo, there will often be other places for them to fit it on the board through these nice letters, the L, the E, the C, the A. These are all great bingo tiles. So your opponent really needs to have a precise ERS bingo that does not play through any other spot on the board for this uppermost positioning of clacker to work out significantly better than taking the extra points by playing it down low. So Dr. Scrabble in this situation definitely appreciates the value of playing clacker up high, but I still think the correct decision here was to take the extra points by playing with the level hook. To receive a consultation from Dr. Scrabble, take a screenshot of a board that stumps you. On an iPhone, this is done by pressing the home button and lock button at the same time, for example. And when you see Dr. Scrabble on the Scrabble Go Facebook page, simply post your screenshot as a comment in the thread. It helps if you add a specific question you'd like me to answer. I really look forward to hearing from you.